women are the same way. You have women like Melissa Ford, who's talking about her experience, but she's in a very privileged position, always has been actually for the duration of when we know her, right?
And a lot of the red pill guys, they don't have that patience, right? And I think that, for me personally, I think that emotional control is a sign of masculinity. A lot of those guys don't have that.
Assuming that the bear is going to attack you no different than the man, when in reality is there's been incidents where people have been in the woods with a bear and it didn't attack them. When you're projecting based off your own trials and what you went through with a man, and you're using that to then say, hey, yeah, I don't trust all men, and I rather trust the bear, when it's like, you don't know. Every scenario, every situation is different, and you can't come out constantly projecting and putting that and making it seem like all men are the problem.
I have had extraordinarily fulfilling and have fulfilling platonic relationships with men. Absolutely. So, I have had not the greatest personal romantic relationships with men.
So based off that, you know that all men aren't terrible human beings.
I do know that. However, I will say this. You want to know one of the reasons why women watch all that murder, death, kill stuff, all the serial killer stuff? Because we're trying to understand what threat looks like. Because usually it's presented as somebody who's very, very normal. The BTK killer, Dennis Rader, he was a pillar of his community. He was an active member of his church. You know, John Wayne Gacy, same thing. Like the evil.
But why they don't ever do the positive stories? Meaning, like, because all of this, I'm not saying it's not true, because it's definitely true, but propaganda works both ways. Mm-hmm. If there was a network that showed us, you know, these great men who did right by women and, you know, protected women and held women down, your perspective wouldn't lean so much to, you know, men ain't shit, I gotta go with the bear.
No, trust me, I place in my algorithm men that I know there's a guy named Will Hitchens online. There is this podcast, it's these 4 young Black boys. I can't remember what the podcast is called right now, but I mean.
Oh, you're talking about
it starts with a J.
Jamming?
Yes. Yeah. I love them. I love them because it's just, they take men and brosphere and red pillars to task. And their rhetoric is so respectful towards women, and they just have so much common sense for being so young. So I follow them. I follow Deontay Kyle. I definitely have an algorithm full of men that are, you know, that are allies to women. But I will also find myself in the comment section of certain things, and it's just. It's very polarizing, and it pulls you. And especially, you know, I mean, I've had my own experiences of being around a certain type of a certain group of men who exhibit groupthink, and that groupthink tends to lean very misogynistically. So it has an effect on you, you know, as somebody who's just kind of like absorbing it. Simply just because I'm a woman and I'm the woman in the room kind of thing. It's just...
I listen, are there fuck boys out here? Yes, but I still believe in the circle of trust of humans. And I believe that the shooting percentage when it comes to the circle of trust of humans is still very, very high in spite of all the bullshit. And what do I mean by that? We wake up every day, every single one of us, and we trust that we not gonna go crazy. I don't know none of these people in this room, but one of these motherfuckers could go crazy and fuck up the whole day for everybody. You could go to freaking Dunkin' Donuts and order a coffee, and it's that one person in the back who might decide, you know what, I'm gonna put some fucking, you know, fentanyl or arson in her shit. Or you might get in the car with the Uber driver and that person decides to run off the road. My point is, we don't think about that type of stuff. You don't go into Dunkin' Donuts and think somebody's gonna put arson into your fucking drink. You don't order the Uber and jump in the car and think this person's gonna run me off the highway. You don't walk in rooms with perfect strangers and be like, okay, you know, who's gonna be the person that shoots this shit up? So there's a circle of trust that exists amongst humans. And in spite of all of the bullshit, we do pretty good at making sure that all of us are safe and protected. So I can't base everything off, you know, just the bullshit. Now, do I, you know, raise my daughters with that mentality?
Yeah, at this point, she's just rambling. Like, I didn't lost my train of thought as to what I was going to say.
Come on.
Shut up. Like, it literally just played, but you might have to come back to me. Like, I literally just had a brain fart.
I could say something. I hate every podcast she mentioned. Like everything that she mentioned, I like have actually physically put not interested on my Instagram because I'm tired of seeing it. Like all the four little boys, I'm not little boys, the four young men she talking about, all they do is every time I see a clip, it's about racism. Like consistently, that's all they talk about is racism, and probably the other part is like misogyny. I don't want to hear that all day. I get it. Like we might have problems in the world. Talking about it all day, like that's our favorite thing to talk about. And it's like, yo, that's not draining to y'all.
Well, that's what they say about the men's spaces as well.
Oh, you already know how I feel about red pill. Like, you already know how I feel about that. I ain't a red pill bull.
How you feel about it?
I think red pill guys are for the most part are male feminists. They just like the opposite version of feminists. They are radicals on the other side. On their scorn and their hurt, and they just out for vengeance for the most part. Then there are some guys who are just being real and they just, they kicking the game and they just telling you what they know. The idea of red pill, I like it. Like I like the idea to some degree of feminism. I'm like, just give them the, equality of opportunity. I agree with that. You should be able to try and, do what you want in life. But I think that people have taken it, bad actors, they've taken it and they've turned it into something else. And yeah, that's kind of like, like fresh and fit, like goofy shit, like, stuff like that. And sometimes they say some stuff that makes sense, but for the most part, I think a lot of the red pill spaces, they just want to slam dunk some shit on some women. I'm saying that's all.
Yeah, I to respond to what you're saying about the red pill, and this is not me necessarily defending them, but my perspective is I think that medicine and knowledge is tier level. So your fresh and fits have an audience because there's men like yourself, maybe like me, maybe like Marcus, maybe like JR, who have certain levels of gifts and privileges. So sometimes our viewpoint on life is going to look different. I think that on the other side, women are the same way. You have women like Melissa Ford, who's talking about her experience, but she's in a very privileged position, always has been actually for the duration of when we know her, right? And so I get it. Maybe myself will be like, okay, that's a little extreme, bro. Like that's not really how it goes. But that's speaking from my own experience. Because even when I've listened to like Fresh and Fit and others, I haven't gone through a lot of the things that maybe your average guy has gone through. Like I never had no girl ask me for no cash app. I think that's goofy. Like, she asking you for money. That's wild. But I can't deny that that's occurring.
Got you.
Yeah.
So if I want to repeat what you said. Not what you said, but I want to paraphrase so that you can let me know if I'm understanding what you're saying. So you're saying that the things that these guys are talking about might be valid, and I may not have experienced it, but that doesn't take away from the validity that there's things that are going on about what they're saying. Does that kind of?
Yeah, that paraphrases it. Because basically, all the men that I've talked to over the course of just my lifetime, I can clearly tell where they've had experience and exposure or lack thereof, especially when it comes to women. It's the simple thing of when I'll say things like, yo, I'll never have a girl put me out, or I don't sleep on my own couch, or she can't show up on a date with sneakers on. And they're like, what? Or the fact, I don't care if my girl get mad. Like her getting mad does what? But for most dudes, when they hear me talk, they're like shook because in their world experience, that's normal.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So
So I'm not saying at all that the qualms that they have aren't legitimate, right? There are a lot of things that they say that make sense and are legitimate, but that's not my issue. My issue is, for example, we got Bo here, right? Bo may say some things that I disagree with and that I've disagreed with for a long time, right? However, I want to have conversations with Bo because I think that through conversation I can change her perspective, or maybe she can change my perspective, right? And a lot of the red pill guys, they don't have that patience, right? And I think that for me personally, I think that emotional control is a sign of masculinity. A lot of those guys don't have that. They don't want to have conversations. Like that's what I never like. I'm damn near Republican, right? I don't like the idea. I never used to like the idea that like liberals don't want to have conversations. I didn't like Kamala because she wouldn't sit down and have a real conversation. If she just went on a podcast and just talked all the way through, I'm like, oh, I think I kind of know her, right? The fact that she just didn't want to do nothing that wasn't scripted, that bothered me, right? I'm all for the conversations. And I think a lot of these guys, they don't want conversations. They want to shut Bo up. They don't want her to talk no more. Like, I don't agree with stuff like that.
So if you didn't hear what I said when I started my soliloquy, would you say that it's based on your tier level? Because to me, I look at it as you would be a man that has a different tier level. You have the capacity. I like the word capacity. You had a capacity to be able to handle a bow. And what I mean by handle is engage. You have some validity from your vantage point. You can receive what she say, digest it. You just did it with me. I said a whole bunch of words and you condensed it. Most dudes, most people don't have that tier level nor that maturation. So that's why I said I think it's valid that the certain deliverers of messages, it's going to hit them and it opens up now the pursuit of their maturation. So Fresh and Fit may be the starting point, and then we end up over here like Lapeef, or Kevin Samuels or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of people. Oh, go. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say just to add, but I think the difference between them and over here is what you're projecting, right? Because you mentioned even with Melissa Ford having the experience, right, to possibly have dealt with bad men. That's one thing, and willing to have the conversation like we're doing now. But when you go around on different panels and you're projecting and you're using the ideology of the man and the bear and assuming that assuming that the bear is going to attack you no different than the man, when in reality is there's been incidents where people have been in the woods with a bear and it didn't attack them. There's been incidents where man don't attack you. So when you're projecting based off your own trials and what you went through with a man, and you're using that to then say, hey, yeah, I don't trust all men, and I rather trust the bear, when it's like you don't know. Every scenario, every situation is different, and you can't come out constantly projecting and putting that and making it seem like all men are the problem or are fearful. And even with her saying, I'm just trying to figure out, I can't even use the words, but I'm not even gonna say that part. But just her doing that, because I look at it like this: if you really are this fearful of man, then you wouldn't go and call them to fix your furnace when it breaks. You wouldn't go get your brakes done, right? You would really, really try to eliminate yourself damn near out the world from dealing with man overall, or just find places where it's just nothing but women that will fix your car. Not saying that doesn't exist, because I'm sure that does, right? But that's just not the case. And it's not the case that every man falls in the category of what you've been through. And not every man didn't hurt you. So to have that, to be out here projecting that, and then you got women and other people looking at that and seeing that could be problematic. And I'll end right there.